My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Alrighty, here is Ontario Police stalking at the bus stop last night in the engineer light, and this is them stalking right now with the people of the state who are going to be subject to deportation, loss of children, molesting with impossible light. It's a demon, 6208 9K3. Right here, and impossible light moving across this house. We're inside the people of the state that are going to be subject to deportation, raids for deportation, terrorists that are living in the neighborhoods of government and furtherance of murder, 425 D Street. This is ongoing psychopathic pace. This is what the demons were doing at a Christmas light parade last night with their demon-possessed children. Gang stalking, impossible light in the shade. He's a demon. He's a stalker. He's a vagina monitor. He's a sex offender. 5TRE600 with the sex offenders of the Ontario Police Department. License 9KNT477. And this is how you know that a population is stalking, when they're psychopaths stalking with impossible light. It's not the sun. Neither is that sunlight. 45363F3. The demon-possessed that are conspiring the murder of American citizens are very obvious. 90FT078. They're also very unintelligent. They're also unworthy to remain in this country as immigrants. This city is filled with the immigrant population who are engaging in terrorism. 9DFN791, a potential part of that population. And it's going to be dealt with. They're going to be ejected out of the country. 9UXZ416, and that's exactly what needs to happen. Do not cry for the immigrants that conspire murder of American citizens. They're a threat, and they're being removed. 6FBU 79. I can't see the rest of that one. This is P.O.C. This is currently, I want to be clear, 8:56 a.m. I'm documenting at the opposite end at D Street and I believe that is Fern. That's D Street and Fern. The entity is stalking by helicopter. The fake sun's over me at the opposite end of this same street as I walk to this end, and those demons engage in psychopathic pacing in the engineered light at nightfall with multiple shadows. They added red, blue, and green and yellow and calling it Christmas while those demons engage in the same ritual, okay, of all the spiritually ineffective and lacking in any authority with regard to what is judgment that they are subject to. And I'm also going to prosecute them for trying to murder me as a city, as a state. 9TVF636. P.O.C. They're gang stalking everywhere that they're living. Gang stalking as they travel on the roads and the highways. Title 18 federal stalking statute. 7GOU620 is engaged in federal stalking under 22618 subsections 1 and 2. And doing so in furtherance of murder. And has been engaged in kidnapping with the Ontario police for years. Trying to obstruct justice. Trying to conceal the fact that they've engaged in 6WSC 471 theft as a gang stalking entity, theft of my identity, attempted murder, conspiracy to murder, And also criminal defamation, that's defamation serving a criminal system that you're looking at, while they've been engaged in targeting, and a bunch of gang members engage in this gang violence, presuppose that they can all lie together on your character, and that's how they'll get away with it, and it is terrorism in the United States. And doing so in furtherance of murder, absolutely. 7859890. That's the entity that is not a police department, and it's going to be disbanded. Every single last one, a part of the Ontario Police, are being disbanded. And this is showing the ways in which they've been engaged in criminally misusing the positions that they have in furtherance of criminal conduct and facilitating criminal conduct, not protecting and serving. Okay? This is P.O.C. It is 8:58 a.m. Unity has the fixing over me at D Street and Vine. I've already documented the entity gang stalking me at this same venue. Fake sun over me at 503 D Street into the afternoon. At any time of year, that's an impossibility. Year-to-year analysis, you can jump years. There's no natural environment where this sun's going to be over me at 8:58. That will be 9:58 daylight savings time, and it will be over the top of my head where this same population is also stalking. That's what's tying that together. And the analysis of the environment where demons are obvious and their criminal conduct is known, that the fake sun will be over me at some point in the afternoon. Okay? And remember, the city of Ontario, the state of California, Southern California is not the center of the universe. This is what makes all of that impossible and readily identifiable for prosecution as terrorism. And this is the entity that's doing so in Southern California. There's a whole body of evidence speaking of what LAPD is doing at Alvarado Gardens. Okay? Speaking of what Fontana is doing, for example, when I travel to Fontana Lewis Library, speaking of what Omnitrans is doing when I'm aboard any route. This is not the sun hovering over a readily identifiable crime scene regarding terrorism. 425 West D Street. This is P.O.C. And the government is exposing the population. The population is exposing the government, who are together known as stalkers. 5RAP213 is a vagina monitor, because this is what they do concerning my genitalia. At any place, keeping my genitalia under surveillance. Know that police is not a police department. That's not a police department. And this is not a civilian population. These are the demon-possessed, and they're legally referred to as the people. The people are demons and engaging in terrorism in the U.S. That's facilitation. 9DTR000. It doesn't get any more clear than that. This demon is stalking, walking back and forth from the vehicle to the venue. 7LFZ755. I'm going to go ahead and get this license plate here. Watch the fake sun move as I move. And that's what they're all doing, stalking. 9WHJ734. 43207F1. That's his license. Going to 00482 and 2. This is not the sun. And that's the identification of a stalking neighborhood and pacing demons. EH72821 paper 6BAT523 POC. This is what is going on inside of the library, pacing all around me on foot in engineer light, stalking, monitoring me, and monitoring my vagina. Specific knowledge, because this is already over the OVITT Family Community Library at this time and before this time. Allied Universal is already a documented gang stalking company like every other company in California. This is P.O.C. Allied Universal is going to be prosecuted as a conspirator of murder, while the company and the demon-possessed employees of the companies are gang stalking. It is 9 a.m. on the dot. This is P.O.C. Audible activity and engineer light 28858 Apple 3 P.O.C. This is Ontario Police that's facilitating gang violence and engaging in gang violence, and doing so with regard to what is a failed contract to commit murder, to get away with stealing my money, stealing my identity, and defaming me, and doing so, defaming me through the audacity of these feces consumers. Okay? They're psychotic. 9VPA 902. The stalking with impossible lighting, maintaining a whole environment under a fake sun is the proof of their mental illness and their criminal system, which is highly unintelligent and disorganized. 9EIN 196. And not only that, they're engaged in what is practicing delusional and ineffective failed witchcraft. That's what this is. This is witchcraft, one person after another. In the engineer light, this is witchcraft conduct. In the demonic environment, this is witchcraft. And they're going to be diagnosed collectively as they are engaging in criminal activity together as an entity. And this is exactly what the entity is doing by stalking, following around, which is crazy on its face. It's also crazy in substance because they're practicing failed witchcraft. 8Z27021. This entire apartment building, gang stalking. This entire neighborhood. This is D Street and Vine. This is C Street. No, excuse me. This is D Street. And the OVITT Family Community Library, this is not over the town square, none of that. This is the entity that is targeting, as you can see that. 8CFU 589. And this is also impunity of that entity that's going to be in federal courts. That's going to be subject to a a plethora of types of prosecution, but it's a criminal prosecution, but they're also going to be prosecuted as immigrants. They're going to be prosecuted as abusive parents. Those in custody of minor children, they're being documented. They're going to be prosecuted, and this is their impunity. Remember, this is surveillance, not traffic. They're making a decision to make sure that they continuously cross path. And how are you deducing that? The impossible light that's on the ground, the fake sun that's over me at the intersection, the gang stalking police department and helicopter. This is P.O.C. It's 9:02 a.m. Alrighty, this is the entity that is stalking. Remember, taking off at the United States Postal Service 1555, and that will be along Hope Boulevard. This is not that. And this is also not a takeoff. This is blatant stalking under the signature identification, the crime scene. Stalking by an airport is that which is committed in furtherance of murder by psychopaths. Southwest Airlines is a terrorist organization going under a company name, aiding and facilitating the conspiracy to murder whom that company is stalking in the most incredible and spectacular manners, in concert with demons, co-conspirators of murder, who make up a population. Those two demons are just identifying, three demons are identifying what is crossing a path. They're not just stalking physically, they're monitoring spiritually, and they're monitoring in the environment. This isn't sunlight. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. The sun is over 215 E.C. Street, where Gregory's opening the door, the entrance doors of the OVITT Family Community Library, and that fake sun's over that entrance, and that's not this. And that's also not a takeoff from 2500 Airport Road. It's also not a takeoff from Airport Road when Southwest Airlines is stalking over the Metro 102 apartments either. But this is where the entity is maintaining that fake sun outside of the window of the Ontario Airport Inn at 9:56 a.m. That video goes into 10 a.m. when you get down to the minute-second precision of the P.O.C. documentation. That's facing the 10 freeway at the Archibald Avenue exit in particular. Very precise with regard to identifying stalking a very specific person. Very specific. And so is the evidence of who is stalking, and that is Southwest Airlines, the Ontario International Airport, the demons that are sounding sirens in that specific environment, which is speaking to what is very precise identification of the targeted individual, a legal status in the United States, pursuant to what is an exposed system of domestic terrorism, federal group stalking and monitoring. Gang stalking immigrants are being deported out of this country. Gang stalking parents are losing custody of their children. Gang stalking police officers are going to federal prison, plus mental examinations. All right, you're stressing that because the P.O.C. is exposing mental illness certifiable behavior, which is threatening American citizens. But gang stalking police officers, they're going to federal prison plus mental examinations. That's mandatory. Gang stalking firefighters, gang stalking pilots. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so. Gang stalking immigrants are being deported. This is P.O.C., and this is how you're able to recognize criminal activity. None of them are ignorant about it. They're engaged in an unspoken system, and they presuppose that because the ordinary target individual doesn't have evidence, that you can criminally defame an American citizen in a courtroom while all the gang members lie on that person. That's terrorism, and the entity, the city of Ontario, is going to be gutted out for it, but this is a prosecution of the state. And this impunity, this public corruption, it requires, it mandates federal prison. It is currently 10:03 a.m. This is P.O.C. I believe this is Fern Avenue. That would be Hope Boulevard down there, where you see the vehicle crossing path. That would be Hope Boulevard. That's B Street. This is C Street. C Street and Fern is where I'm at, located at 221. This is absolutely the pattern of conduct. Ontario Airport and the bus stop where Jay Sandoval is threatening to commit what is kidnapping because she's stalking, and that fool did it on camera. And I've been documenting fools for years, and many fools are going to prison. P.O.C. Here is the demon stalking, because all of them right here, they're all engaged in surveillance with the Ontario International Airport as I document them. The ones with whom they commit criminal summoning, the ones with whom they engage in vagina monitoring, the ones with whom they are engaging with is stalking with children, federal group stalking and monitoring, walking in engineer light, clutching the hand of a child as a violent sex offender, and a co-conspirator of murder under a fake sun at 1:01 p.m. Because the demons are documented, you'll see it on the Google Drive and all of their license plates sitting around stalking somebody together. The mentally ill feces consumers that give birth to children who are also demons that are gang stalking with the government. That's why you have that absence of a coincidence of a fake sun and the entity stalking by helicopter. This is mental illness that is a threat to the public. P.O.C. Alrighty, these are the demons engaged in that, and the entity is stalking in helicopter, and Jay Sandoval is going to prison. P.O.C. 6 LMT 607. Where's this fake sign at 8:38 in the morning when I did this same walk from the square to the library, where she's standing engaging in gang stalking wearing a police uniform, uttering a threat, while these feces consumers are the ones with whom they commit criminal summoning, and those same feces consumers that don't have any strategy, while they are being surrounded with evidence that they're both demons and they're stalking, bearing weapons and using authority to abuse it that they don't have under the law because it's criminal surveillance. That's why she's going to prison. Badge number 19955, Jay Sandoval. Her demon-possessed partners putting her under a prison. Jay Sandoval's going to federal prison, ladies and gentlemen, and she's not the only demon. The demons that are stalking in helicopter, they're going to prison, and so is Mike Lorenz. This is the same apartment where little children are engaged in vagina monitoring. That's why they're losing custody. This is the pattern of conduct. It is currently 1:03 p.m. where the sun would not be over the same or adjacent to or over the same person at the same library where the entities engage in a pattern where the demons lose. 9 PNA 503 is a hostile vagina monitor and stalks with helicopter and threatens kidnapping when you expose them. License plate 9EQH 764. Psychopathic pacing. An 80-plus-year-old vagina monitor, 8PSZ 626, under the fake sun. Gang stalking with demons like this gang member, Jay Sandoval, P.O.C. And this is the same street, by the way, where I'm present at the sunrise, where they're all stalking. The entity's already done this at 8 o'clock in the morning at the same address. Jay Sandoval's going to prison, and so are the demons inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, where they're engaged in vagina monitoring. P.O.C. This is going to be the gutting out of the city of Ontario. Those are idiots. Those are feces consumers. And their own failed witchcraft, speaking to what is exposed criminal conduct, and they've sacrificed themselves. P.O.C. Sitting around the computer, engaging in demonic activity, failed witchcraft. Their mental illness is going to be a matter of criminal prosecution. Their sexual violence is going to be a matter of their criminal prosecution. And this is domestic terrorism. It doesn't get any more blatant than this. P.O.C. Demon-possessed gang stalkers, they give birth to terrorists that are engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct. They brought their little activity creators playing at the town square under the fake sun. This is the committed criminal summoning with the entity that's stalking right now. One of the many ways in which this entity's failed witchcraft has caused it to sacrifice itself. He's going to prison. He's committing criminal summoning with the agency that's stalking, like I've been capturing for years. And he committed kidnapping on September 28, 2025, pursuant to harassment. And who am I harassing? Oh, the ones that are stalking? They call it harassment as I get their license plate while they're conspiring my murder. Those are the same puppets of Satan, the same feces consumers who give birth to demons who are monitoring your vagina, monitoring your genitalia, whatever gender you are. These are demons under the age of majority. Legally speaking, it's the ongoing contribution to the delinquency of minors. They're literally engaging in criminal activity, and then you're looking at the minors with whom they're engaging in criminal surveillance. Yes, the Ontario police are being disbanded. It's not a police department. And they're also a bunch of idiots, and they've been embarrassed because their idiocy is a matter of what is evidence to prosecute them and the entire population. It is literally 1:05 in the afternoon. This same town square, they're stalking me at 9:56 in the morning yesterday. This is the pattern of conduct. The demons are not only hellbound, they're going to federal prison. 6LMT 607 is engaged in gang stalking. That's light activity. These are demons that are over the age, well over the age of majority. The entire apartment complex. You've seen this over and over again. This is P.O.C. It is currently 1:05 p.m., putting the demons like Gregory under the fake sun stalk with the Ontario police where he belongs, in a cage. He belongs in a cage, just like every other terrorist, foreign or domestic, and they put themselves there. That's the pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. All right, the videos you just listened to is documentation of literally stalking, following me from place to place, and doing so in the extraordinary and terrorizing manner of planes and helicopters, as well as a population of the mentally ill who are stalking. For anyone to stalk you is harassing. For an entity that is mentally ill to stalk you in unprecedented manners is terrorism. To do it on behalf and in concert with the government using things such as police departments who are including helicopters and the entity that is utilizing the resources of an airport that is stalking in the way in which I've shown and what you've listened to and what you can see as you look at those videos. This is domestic terrorism, for which terrorists are subject to federal prison. So the entity is engaging in terrorism, and this is the documentation you're listening to. It's Sunday, December 7, 2025, and the video that you're listening to is occurring at what is the Ontario Town Square, 224 North Euclid Avenue. As I cross the street, the property the 280 North Limit Apartments, where the senior citizen demon-possessed gang stalking is underway. This is the same property where the entity engaged in criminal summoning. I was at the Ontario Town Square, the OVITT Family Community Library, where Talia is opening the entrance under the 10 a.m. fake sun. And the entity, even before 10 a.m. when I'm walking to the bus stop and the fake sun is over the OVITT Family Community Library at 8 a.m., the entity has the fake sun over me, speaking to surveillance, speaking to specific targeting, as this evidence the P.O.C has already established. So the mentally ill are engaging in what is worldwide exposure of their ongoing failed contract to commit murder via this system of gang stalking, which is criminal surveillance by the demon-possessed who are monitoring. That's also what is revealed to you, what is relevant, and it's also legally relevant, the fact that the government is conspiring your murder, keeping you under surveillance, and doing so through supernatural means, as in the way in which I've shown you the fake sun, which defies nature. It is impossible that the sun is anywhere in Florida, in other words. It's impossible that it's anywhere in Minnesota, or in Las Vegas, Nevada, or in Nevada anywhere, or in Texas, with reference to Central Time, Eastern Standard Time. This is the entity that is keeping a fake sun over me as I expose that, and I'm exposing their demon possession and their criminal activity. It's directly relevant to the behavioral health concern, which is a national security threat as a population that shares that mental illness, that criminal pattern of conduct, and having committed a series of federal offenses, acts of terrorism, for which they will be subject to federal prison, and all the ways in which it is mandated, and that includes the felons, the future inmates at OVITT Family Community Library, gang stalking while the entity is utilizing helicopter to communicate a terrorizing threat based on the documentation that is being published about it, that it is also keeping under surveillance, and even that is documented as a regularly engaged in pattern of conduct, speaking to both mental illness, delusional. You're going to be in court facing that evidence. No sane person would provide that to a federal judge and have any anticipation of stating anything to defend themselves. That level of desperation, that level of ongoing stalking, moreover, as a population that has totally forfeited any appearance of not looking like you're doing anything other than stalking, is an unlawful threat as well. The entity is engaged in this stalking by helicopter at 215 E.C. Street. As I have also you listened to in that video, I took that same walk from the town square to the library at 8:38 a.m. where Jay Sandoval and the rest of the gang members of the Ontario Police and the people of the state are under that fake sun over the same apartment building in front of the same library under the same exact circumstances. And there is over a 4-hour difference, and this is with regard to what is not the sun that would be over the same piece of sidewalk, same person, same property, same address. The sun is a gaseous ball of fire that is not hovering beside buildings that we are in and out of. It doesn't sit above one person's vehicle. It doesn't remain over one person like I've documented. It is the evidence of targeting amongst a practice of witchcraft, amongst what is witchcraft is legally relevant, and it is utilized to prosecute and diagnose mental illness. It is the proof of obsession, where the microaggressive acts of the entity that's supposed to appear as a disinterested stranger is actually revealed as the psychopathic, obsessed, violent sex offender that they are, including while they clutch the hands of minor children with whom they're sharing in that terrorism. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and I want to read the following license plates. This is relevant to federal prison and the mental illness exhibited by that act of terrorism, which is communicated while the entity utilizes helicopter after I document you gang stalking me with the Ontario International Airport. Surveillance under the fake sun at the Ontario Town Square. License 9 Sam Robert Henry 166. License 35067 Edward 2. License plate 8 Zebra Henry Charlie 673. License plate Xavier 0, Larry 0, Victor Edward Uncle, that's XOLOVEU. These are demons that are engaged in stalking while I am subject to the airport stalking over that venue, the Ontario Town Square, as I've been documenting all morning, as I'm documenting on a ceaseless basis. And not only that, as I go and document those that are sharing and stalking me with the government, the entity immediately follows with stalking utilizing helicopter. This is every single last one of these third parties whose license plate I'm reciting, communicating an unlawful threat to commit murder, to harass and terrorize me, to obstruct justice as I document them. Understand what the people of the state are communicating unlawfully while they're engaged in criminal activity. I'm doing so with the intent to obstruct justice, and it's directly relevant to the prosecution of those domestic terrorists, those enemies of this country that are keeping American citizens under surveillance in the manner in which I've exposed. License plate 9 Jerry Uncle Charlie 787. 5 Paul Larry Bob 570. 62011 Frank 2, 9 Henry 0 Bob 766. And these psychopaths who are violent sex offenders engaging in what is surveillance of genitalia. Okay, put frankly, for purposes of removing children from the custody of violent sex offenders and terrorists, they're engaged in vagina monitoring. And they're doing so while they will not be keeping custody of minor children, while this evidence of you terrorizing another, you will not be keeping custody of your children. This is the entity that's engaging that you will not be remaining in the United States as a citizen. This is the direct evidence that's going against that population of all those statuses. This is what the entity is engaging in while they keep the evidence of you stalking an American citizen under surveillance, and it's very foolish. Mike LORENZ is going to prison, and just like I can easily refer to a previously documented terrorist, a psychopath, a sex offender, under the fake sun at the same address with the population that enters into the library at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to engage in that ongoing criminal pattern of conduct. They are as exposed as a nude person and on the middle of the freeway. Okay, nothing secretive about what they're engaging in, and they're doing it with a level of impunity that is directly relevant to prosecuting terrorists in the United States. This is P.O.C, and the entity is doing so while the government is telling on the people of the state, and the people of the state are telling on the government that is acting directly. And while they're all telling on each other, I'm prosecuting accordingly. Their ongoing acts of terrorism is relevant for the ways in which that population is going to be prosecuted civilly and criminally. All right, it is currently 1:17 p.m. at 215 East C Street, where stalkers are utilizing the computers and coming in and talking to the gang stalking employees to keep me under surveillance. They're doing it under their fake sun while Impossible Light is shooting inside of the library. They share mental illness, they share an appetite of sexual violence, psychological torture, and ongoing criminal activity to a delusional degree. And that's because they are engaged in what is ongoing failed witchcraft. These are demons who are mentally ill of all races and ages. P.O.C. It's 1:18 p.m. Alrighty, 1:20 p.m. Vagina monitors spread out throughout the venue on the first level and the second level, maintaining ongoing psychopathic and criminal means of surveillance, who are the demon-possessed people of the state. They are all in the crime scene. The fake sun is over the library, and this is gang stalking by both the patrons and the employees alike on behalf of the government that literally engaged in stalking to confirm that for the world, and the entity is going to witness the prosecution of terrorists who are demon-possessed. This is the work of Satan that's being exposed, and it's also a matter of criminal conduct. Engaging in surveillance in the bathrooms, engaging in what is all manner of placement inside of the venue to engage in the psychopathic pacing and engineer light, while the maintenance of ongoing amplified audible activity, which is a harassment by a government that is acting in concert, that is vicariously by a population. And this is mental illness that they share, while they are also engaging what you are understanding is failed and delusional witchcraft, pursuant to what is this entity that has sacrificed itself with regard to its biddings, its contracts with Satan, and their ongoing engagement with demonic spirits that are going to attack them, that are going to inflict harm upon them. And they're still stalking me while they have no spiritual authority. They also have no lawful authority. Remember, this is the government. The government has no warrant or probable cause for Yesenia to be here, being paid as an employee to gang stalk me, because that's what's happening. She is totally outside of any constitutional protection, and I will be prosecuting her like the kidnapper as an entity that she is. All right, and the entity is engaging in this with the demons who are sitting at every table, going in and out of every restroom, walking in and out of the library through any and every door to engage in the criminal elements of monitoring. Demons that are engaging in what is an inhumane means and unlawful of surveillance, and also doing so in furtherance of murder. That population walked right into the doors of the OVITT Family Community Library, and they're all sitting around vagina monitors in position. It's 1:22 p.m. This is P.O.C.